Welcome to Mars.
All right, welcome back to Mars Radio. I'm here with our next guest. Our next guest is a radio personality, a hostess, an all-around amazing, dope person. We're here with none other than McYee.
Yes, that is me.
Welcome to Mars Radio.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's been a long time coming. We knew we had to get this done, so thank you for coming out.
Absolutely. I'm in the beautiful city of Modesto.
All right, so let's go ahead and start from the beginning. And where are you from?
Originally, I'm from, I was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and then I transplanted to Beaumont, Texas in the 2nd grade. So I lived in Texas until about the 8th grade of my school. And then I came here to California, which I actually got shipped to Redding, which is north. It's on the way up to Oregon. If anybody's familiar with Redding, it's come on vacation, leave on probation. Very typical there in Shasta County. And my dad was a city official there, so I left Redding as soon as I graduated high school. But he also was the arena manager there too. So I got to be at a lot of functions that I think that may have molded a lot of what I do, is that Redding stint when he was an arena manager at the big arena in Redding, which he also did in Texas and in Kansas City. So shout out Dad. My dad was a showman too.
Okay, so you're from KC
Yep.
And then Beaumont, Texas, and then California.
Redding, yep, and then Redding to Sac.
Okay, so how long were you in KC
Kansas City only until I was 2 years old. I was born there.
And then the cool thing about Kansas City, people don't know, it's Missouri and Kansas.
Yes, I was born in Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah.
I was on the MO side.
And people there are very particular about which side. So.
And it's also a home of the mafia, so I am a boss. So yes.
So shout out to KC.
They love us.
And so how was Texas? What do you think of when you think of Texas?
Texas was way more culturally diverse than California to me. I learned a lot more in Texas. People were nicer to me, I felt like, in Texas, and it was just a different drive. California is a very fast, hustle-paced state, and Texas is a little more laid back. So that's kind of and my sister's still there. She's in Houston. Shout out to Justa Chris. She's in Houston. She's at pharmacy tech.
So things are a little bit slower, more relaxed in Texas?
Sipping on, what is that, Paul Wall, tipping on fofos. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they're on their slabs and shit. Yes.
Yep, Mike Jones.
A little laid back.
So, and how long, what years were you in Texas? How old were you?
8th grade. So
till 8th grade, okay.
I went to Cali in 1989/90.
So when you came to Cali, you were in like junior high?
Yeah.
Okay. Junior high going into high school. What were some of the differences that you noticed when you were going from Texas to California?
The differences were, as far as the kids I hung out with, it was a different crowd. I didn't hang out with anybody at first. When I first came to Cali, I was a totally different breed of person, so I was alone a lot. But the music that people listened to, the pastimes were different. Even as a teenager, we would all still go to the mall, but it was a different trip in Texas than it was in Redding or in California. So I really stayed to myself for quite a while, but if my father was in an entertainment driven business, so kids did flock to me and they wanted to be my friend because they wanted to go to these shows, right? So I ended up getting a lot of, I was the student body president and valedictorian of my high school.
Okay.
Spelling bee champion.
Spelling bee champion?
Yes. But the high school was a continuation high school, so I was technically the best of the worst. But that's all in, if you know me, you know.
You got a gold medal at the Special Olympics?
So yeah, if you know me, that fits me perfect. So yeah, that's how I started. Yes.
And you mentioned your dad a couple times. Did you grow up with both parents?
I did, yes.
Okay. And do you think that you benefited more than the average kid from having both parents?
Yeah, they were both always at work. My mom was a homemaker, still is. And she's definitely was at work a lot, even though she was a homemaker. They all had several jobs. And my father was always at work. But I feel like having both of them to define some of the, I don't want to say they disciplined me because they really didn't, to define what the house is supposed to look like, really. What a family is. So that was a beautiful
quote unquote
thing. Yeah, that's what they called us, a family.
And what kind of kid were you growing up into those teenage years? Were you the nerdy type? Were you into the boys? Were you into school? Were you into sports? Were you troublemaking? Were you on the block slinging rocks?
I was into the older boys, and I was into the music. So
you're into music at a young age.
I was at a young age. I was into music, so we would buy albums from. We'd come to Sacramento and buy albums from Tower and things like that. Like when it was not as readily accessible, the tapes would be in big long plastic holders, and you'd have to have your parent come and buy it for you because it has explicit lyrics and stuff like that. So
it had like a plastic lock on it too.
Yeah,
like
you had to unlock it, and it was wild. I mean, crazy. I had a Public Enemy Fear of a Black Planet poster on my wall in like 1995.
That's what's up.
Yeah, I've been a fan.
What's your first memory of music?
Music.
Yeah, when's the first time you said, yo, this music shit, this is for me, I love it?
It probably had to have been My Mind's Playing Tricks on Me by the Ghetto Boys.
Explain that to people that don't know what that means.
That is a song from a group out of Houston, Texas, 5th Ward. Houston has wards, it's like, that's how it's like their blocks.
They're like their sides.
Right, their hoods.
Mm-hmm.
So they're from the 5th Ward, which is an essentially known bad ward, like really violent. But they, there's Bushwick, which he's a midget, small person. I don't know the appropriate term, but
you're good.
I love a Bushwick, and he's in the group, and he's throwing them 5th Ward beams on them, and it's just a song that's about you're tripping, like my mind's playing tricks on me. It's about it could affect anyone. It really relates to everyone. Like we all go through it. We hear voices. We talk about shit. Yeah, it's a classic song. It's a classic hip hop song. So that was like my first song where that and DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince parents just don't understand because I felt very relatable to that song. So they didn't.
So you hear music for the first time that does something for you, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. What's next after you discover music and your love for it? Is that when you start venturing into what your dad's doing and maybe getting a little closer to him and attaching yourself more to what he got going on?
Yeah, I would say I attended more concerts after that point. I made sure to go to the shows because he was the arena manager.
So exactly what does that entail? What did he do?
He managed the arena. So if you were to throw a show at an arena, like like with Live Wire, if you were to throw a show, it holds like 10,000 people. It's a big arena. Mm-hmm. You have to manage the groups that come and go off the stage, who books them, promoters, fans, people trashing the stadium, like everything. It's just a giant show on a huge stage. That's a lot bigger than what I really deal with to this day, but right. It is definitely where I started. I rode in Sir Mix-a-Lot's limo on stage for Posses on Broadway when he performed in Reading. I was in the back seat. I was like 13 years old.
Just a little flex there, but go ahead.
Super dope. I was in a body glove outfit, and I mean, I got to hang out with like Pac when he was part of Digital Underground. He was a dancer, so he wasn't necessarily Tupac yet. So I got to meet him, and I took them to the Shasta County Fair in the Reading Mall parking lot. Like even at a young age, like I was hosting artists and showing them what to do and helping them out to find shit to do. And they ended up getting kicked the fuck out of there. But we had a fun night, up until that point. And it was just like, that's kind of when I submerged myself into music more. I made sure to be on the scene more and watch what he did more than I did previously.
Okay, so you started following your dad around and seeing what he has going on.
Mm-hmm. Now he was in no way a rap promoter. He was more like, he likes Bach and Beethoven, so.
But he was always around and managing these big events in these arenas and stuff. So what was that showing you at such a young age, seeing these people you see on TV and stuff, and then you're kind of essentially hanging out with them?
It was showing me that I was powerful, and that he was powerful, way more powerful than me. So showed me that it was doable, touchable. You could do that. I can do that. And
then it made you gravitate towards the music more.
Correct.
So what's next in the McYee
saga?
Yep.
So I come to Sacramento, my home where I live now, where 360 lives now, and I went to college, ARC for a while. I started to get into the MySpace, which was the old social network before Facebook and Instagram were popping off. It was MySpace, and I met an artist by the name of Juicy Juice the Doughboy. He is the Bullies one third or half of Bullies with Fullies, Get Paid Records, San Francisco artist, and he needed promotion, and he was advertising it on MySpace. So I applied, so to speak. And I think I told you off camera, but I do manage CNAs for a living, so I always have work. When I say I have work, that's what I mean. I have shifts.
Yeah.
But on MySpace, I got that work, and people misconstrued that and thought it was like I got
Right,
dope, right?
right.
Like, or I got something.
Right.
So that led me to a whole different group of friends on MySpace, but it ended up working out because that's how I got involved with Bay Area hip hop. But at the same time, concurrently, I can't leave him out. I was hanging out with Kane over in Oak Park, and he was hanging out with like Homicide and OG SAC artists. And that's another way that I was submerged into the studio was with him, and that's actually Lil Dallas's dad from Mozzie Records. So
Right.
that was just like a whole nother side of the game that I got to soak in a lot of game in that garage too, as far as music goes. So it was pretty cool. But that was kind of how it started. Was we were at the Silk Bar for Sacramento natives. Y'all know that's shut down now, but she was slanging bottles, man. That shit was dope. I saw the Jacket there for the first time ever. He made the crowd move, like literally, like the whole crowd move. And I was Juice's assistant. You know, me and Tara, my roommate, my best friend, we were his right hand, like wingmen. We did the numbers for the label. Mess was in jail, so it was more just Juice that I was focusing on at that time, and we were helping them grow the label. So he gave me like Bullies with Fullies business cards, and everywhere I went, the power just started to mount, you know, because it was like, oh, she's with Bullies with Fullies, she's with Bullies with Fullies. And it was like a big deal in that day. You know, Bay Area rap was taking over at that time. It kind of is, but
For sure.
this was in the days of like Bullies with Fullies, RBL, Kugna, IMP, like Frisco shit. SAC was Brother Lynch, you know, Homicide, Marvelous, West Coast Mafia, that type shit, SIBO. So it was a pivotal time in my career because I met everybody right at the right time. Right at the right time. And that's when I actually met Jay Stalin too. And I remember telling Juice, because this is when 808s was out by Stalin, this is how old this was.
Oh, wow.
And I said that song alone is going to make him a millionaire because 808s was a very innovative song and his bass was yanking, you know. So Stalin and I hung out a lot. I got to take him to tours for Giants and Elephants. We had the most fun in Chico most of the time. And I mean, imagine going to breakfast at Denny's with Juice and Jay Stalin and Jacka and Huss and, you know, like all these people that you looked up to and listened to for years before you met them. And you're the person having to help them order the French toast because the waitress is a fucking idiot, you know. So you have to like translate. There's nothing to even translate. They're just Chico. They don't. They're stupid. So sorry, no offense. I love Chico. I didn't like that waitress.
Yes, we love Chico.
The waitress was super like bugged out because there was hella rappers in her restaurant, and it was a taboo in that era because that was a good 15 years ago, before rap had really forefronted. You know, it was still kind of taboo to be in hip hop, and here it is like I'm a female, I was in there single most of the time, so I dealt with a lot of people on a very professional level, and that's what put me here. I think had I reacted differently to a lot of situations, I would not be in the position I'm in.
Yeah, because you know everybody in the game.
I do.
Everybody.
And Dame Fame put me on too, I have to say that. He was one of the other guys that was with Juice when we started it. He was the other investor in the Giants and Elephants tour. Gary Archer, D-Ray, you know, these are people that I used to run with daily. So I know everybody from
Those are all legends.
Legends.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just hanging out together doing a tour, like regular shit.
Yeah.
Stalin was just doing regular shit, and now it's millionaire shit, which I knew from when I first saw him. And I have that ability. I like to brag, because when I see people and I see that show star quality in people, I tell them, and I try to celebrate them because it's gonna happen. And I want to be there to be like, I told you this was gonna happen. And I want another Stalin, I thought you were gonna be here today.
So
I
that's
want
how
my interview.
So that's how you know everybody.
I know everybody through these guys, but at the other point in time, I know everybody through my radio station. So in the midst of doing the tour, we started a radio station. Well, I didn't start anything. I joined a radio station that was at Amina Laboratories. Shout out Jay Intel, Sacramento, voted one of SAC's best labs and producers. He was nice enough to let Jay Synth from Synthesizer, the guy who shoots the videos for 40 and everybody else, and Tofu, his brother, and they had it was called SAC. It was called California Underground Music Scene, KUMS FM. So we used to do a radio show on there. I named it Giants and Elephants because I had a lot of Frisco and Oakland artists in and out of the building a lot. And I brought Stalin there every week. We did Stalin on him radio, and we just had a great time. You know, we'd have like shoots and ladders games and liquor, and people are telling stories, and there's no time limits. And like nowadays, attention spans are shot, so you can't do long interviews. Like 15 minutes is almost too long. But back in the day, you could sit there and kick the shit with people for an hour and play music, and they're gonna watch because they don't have anything else to watch.
Right.
Like my first shows I did on Ustream. People don't even know what the fuck that is.
Yeah,
like
Ustream.
Ustream used to be the only way you could go live with a audio broadcast. So,
Right. You do it on Twitter a lot.
Yep, go on live on Twitter. I still have some of that footage. We used to have to broadcast and put all of our broadcast links out on Twitter. That was the only place they could get them. I've interviewed OGs that are gone. Like they've left us at this point, but they live with me like in my eyes and see the world through my eyes. You know, like just a lot of people. OG Red Rum, legend. Interviewed him 15 years ago. Joe Moses, still alive, but legend. Interviewed him 15 years ago.
You talking about Joe Moses from LA?
Yes.
Yeah, Joe Moses is a great dude.
Brick Squad at the time, and I was freaked out
Brick
because I'm
Squad
like,
Monopoly.
I'm really interviewing Brick Squad Mafia, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's when Mac Sean would come in with Snoop and the whole And You Do Know That campaign. He popped that off at my radio station. We'd have all these different rappers there you really couldn't attain, and they would come and see me. So it became very taboo to even be able to come to the radio station.
So this is what, 30, 40,000 million years ago, and today people are still doing it, right? So people have been coming to see you forever.
Yeah, 20
right?
years. It's 15 years, I'd say.
15 years. What do you think it is about yourself, right? Because you know yourself better than anybody. What do you think it is about yourself that people gravitate towards? Because like I said, everybody knows you. I've never heard anybody say a single bad thing about you, and everybody always wants to come see you. And when I tell them I got the line on McYee, I can get you on her show, they get super excited, right? Because everybody loves you. What do you think it is about you?
I'm authentic. I'm not fake. I'm very real. This is me. Like, I want to give everybody everything I've got all the time. I want to give.
And where do you think you got that from?
God, you know, I'm blessed. You know, I'm just blessed with that type of mentality to where if I have it, I'm gonna share it. And I think it all stems back to the fact that I have it. You know, so in my brain, it's not going anywhere. I'm getting more. I'm going to get more. What's the problem with giving it away? You know?
And in this game, usually those are the people that get screwed over the most.
Absolutely. I've gotten more screwed over than anyone ever could tell.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You ever had anybody screw you over, then try and double back like nothing happened?
Absolutely. They've popped up in my studio before. Just
how do you deal with that?
Looking at me. I ignore it. Because players don't sweat shit. You know, real players.
What do you mean by you ignore it? Let's say like you're saying my cameraman screwed you over, and then I bring him back, and he just with his head down, and you
gotta let him chill and do my job because the artists or the guests that I've invited in deserve better than that.
Do you have a conversation with them at any point?
Probably not. Only because they don't deserve it.
And they already know anyways.
It's so like what? There's no building that.
So you kill them with kindness.
Absolutely.
Is that always, you always take the high road?
I always have, and I always will.
Why?
It's just the way that I've always lived, and it works for me. Because I don't look back, you know? Like, I don't want to have to turn around at every place I'm at and be like, which one of my ops is in here, you know? Yeah. I'd rather just, fuck, you got a problem with me? Tell me that. I'm going to bring you in. We're going to squash it. We'll figure it out. I'll interview you. Whatever it is, it wasn't intentional because I don't do intentional shit to people. And people who know me know that. Right. So I know enough people now that it's like a real thing. Like everybody knows I'm solid. Yeah. If someone else is saying I'm salad, they're probably the side dish. Like I'm not fucking with them, you know, like, and that's what it is. Like if they don't have access to me, if I won't answer my phone, if I won't answer their DMs, they get angry.
That's what I was gonna ask. And people be getting mad that you don't book them, huh? And
then they start talking shit. And it's like, I'm gonna tell you who taught it to me too is Mac Mall. Shout out to my Cuddy from Fizz Nation. He said, one time I was like, oh, well, they, and he's like, who the fuck are they? And I was like, you're right. Like, who are they? They don't matter. And he was like, and why are you reading comments? You know, like, superstars don't read comments. We don't have time for that. You know, like, don't fucking read comments. You're going to get sucked into the
Matrix.
Right. Here you are down a rabbit hole over nothing. You're talking to robots. Half of these people don't even exist or leave their house. So it's with social media, you have to take a separate stance on that. But that's kind of how I became the ever forgiving fucking walk all over McYee. But it works for me because when the heavens doors open up, he's gonna be like, I super got you.
Yeah.
You've been through enough.
So how do you deal with people when they want to get a free interview, but you know, it's a business? Because you are running a business, right? You're not. This is not a charity. How do you deal with that?
I try to explain it the best that I can.
And how do you do that?
And say, imagine if you were to say, so most of the people who want to come on the radio show are artists, musicians, so to speak. So I try to break down, like, you have to book studio time to lay a track. So it's the same idea, you know, like, I'm not, me putting $300 on the counter to do an interview for you, because I hold no stops. Like, I do photos, I do videos, everything is professionally done.
1,000%.
100,000%. And if it's not, we're doing it again, because that's just the way I rock. But I try to explain the value of investing in themselves, and if they can't, I try to see what they do have to spend, if they have anything. I also take other trades. We'll go into that into a private in the maybe of the podcast. But it's not just, you don't have to just bring me money. You know, like, we can figure something else out.
McYee.
Just talk to me. You know? Inquire within. But I have something that people want, and I need them to be there to have a fulfilling radio show environment. But here's one thing I do want to broadcast to the world. There is a waiting list to be on my show. So I don't need you necessarily right now. I mean, I need artists and I need people to book, but I don't necessarily desperately need to book anyone right now. I'm booked into the end of February next year. I'm only on one night a week. But we do have more nights opening up. So you never know, just to bite the bullet and send the deposit. The deposit is less than $100, and it will hold your spot, and I will move it around if you need to move the date, and I'm very accommodating. So if you need good promotion, that's what I try to explain, is that you can, and half of the time, the cars, I'm gonna be honest, up until last year, I brought them in anyway. I brought them in for free.
Right.
Because I'd rather not deal with the hassle of running into them at the video shoot or running into them at the shows, and they have an attitude or they're mad. It's like, let's just be friends, man. Like,
yeah, I feel you, because
it's too much in the world going on.
I do that a lot of times also with
just grace.
You know what I mean? Just like, what's one time gonna hurt? But theoretically speaking, we're not going to run into them if they're at the video shoot, because they're not going to have money for a video shoot.
They're not solid enough to be
If they don't have money for an interview, they're not going to have money.
You're right, and that's a good thought. And I have to think like that sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I spend all my money on my platform, all of it. I don't have kids. I spend so if you're getting an interview from me for free, I'm paying for it in full. And it's a good interview. So at least, like, come in with a tip, or promote me, share the flyers, you know, like, this is.
Or bring something to the table.
I think, and maybe I'm tripping, but I think myself, I get the least amount of cross promotion, and I don't know why, because I share everybody's flyers all the time, and I feel like it should just be a natural, I do this, you do this, I do this, but it doesn't happen like that. So I ask everyone out there, share, because people need to see the interviews. There's thousands of interviews on that
So
site.
you don't think people promote you as much as you promote them?
No, but I'm also obsessively on the internet. Like, I sleep promoting my sleep. So maybe I'm just doing too much.
No, you can never be doing too much when promotion is your job, right? All promotion is good promotion.
My dad told me, don't ever be a promoter. And here I am. I said, I don't put money on the line. He said, you do if you're paying for that time, that airtime. You are a promoter. So, sorry. He told me don't do this shit.
All right, so what's your favorite part of the job?
I have my own private concert every Monday night of exactly who I want to see perform. I get to pick whoever I want and be like, for example, I'm a big D. Steez fan. Mm-hmm. D. Steez was just sitting next to me 3 Mondays ago, did all my favorite songs and some exclusives live off the cuff right next to me, right there. So I like to be able to say that, like, you didn't get to see your favorite artist perform last night at your office, did you? So it's a big flex, but it's also a benefit to way other people, because if he's in there and I'm entertained, then there's other people watching that are entertained too. And younger artists or the Bobby down the block, he's going to get more exposure because Steez is on after him, and he's got a lot of fans. So it works like for everybody involved.
1,000%.
It takes a community to build correctly, and I think that eventually I'll have interviewed everyone, so no one will have an excuse anymore. And even once you get that free interview, you're going to come back and spend because you know the quality that comes with my content. Absolutely. And it's also, there's only one me. You're not going to get a McYee interview from somebody else because they're not me.
Absolutely. And so how did you end up linking up with Eddie Z and 360 Radio?
Okay, so I was kicked out of Sanctuary Studios, and I apologize, Blap. I know I had a big party there one night, Home Wrecka, San Quinn, everybody came back to the radio station. Got out of Sanctuary, which is where I was broadcasting, got my own station with Shadow at Hype Radio, shout out to Shadow, and he's still in SAC too. And then eventually Juice went to jail, funding went away, because him and I were partners on the radio station. And I decided to get to focus on my day job for a while and get my chips, get some money, grind all day, and then I would come back to it, which I took about 3 or 4 years off, and it was like on and off, on and off. And then that's when I started to host the shows I would go to, because I would show up at these concerts at the Blue Lamp or in
the
SAC.
Blue Lamp.
Yeah, shout out to Gabby. That's
Jesus,
my
that was
very
a dangerous area.
That's where I hosted the most.
Wow.
Blue Lamp and at the Boardwalk in Orangeville.
Boardwalk is a lot safer.
Boardwalk was where we had the Giants and Elephants tour, and Dame Fame got on the speaker and said, "I will burn this motherfucker to the ground." Like they were fucking with our money. Mm-hmm. So it was an awful experience that night, but it was definitely lit. They kept it very lit in the Giants and Elephants tour. Jack was on the tour, so all my tattoos are music too. We'll cover that maybe in the podcast. I don't know. We'll cover it at some point. But I ended up at the Blue Lamp, and I wasn't really a show host. For people who don't know me, I'm a bit over. I'm like not at my ideal weight, so I like to eat. Like I'm kind of heavy, but I still get down. And I host shows, and I noticed how it's like really hard on the body. So I started to really respect show hosts and stage managers, because trying to get the artists to the stage at the right time to get them on for their set is a challenge. And it takes a very, very nice person that's going to be, killing with kindness. And that's kind of how I started with hosting. And that was in the middle of the 2 radio stations. So I did the weed shows, hosted those, like City of Trees, things like that, and then we went on to I met with Eddie. So I saw Eddie promoting his shows with Mickey Tilts, with GT Digital. Ashley was a host of his, Miss Ashley, and her and I had done shows at KMMS. So I hit him up and I showed him my repertoire, which I've kept all my content for 10 years past. So it was like watching a time capsule. And he was like, "Yeah, you fit in perfect."
Right.
So he brought me in, and my first interview, the first night I was ever there, was Stressmatic from the Federation. Much love to Stress. He doesn't do interviews like that, so I was blessed to get that. And he came in and sat down with us, and I had no idea. I had no idea what I was doing. You can tell from watching the podcast or the replays. It's like, what are you even doing? So then I started to watch it every week and like hone in. And then Eddie and I would be there every Monday night. And then somebody different would pull up, whether it was I used to interview 6 to 8 people a show. I'd have 6 to 8 artists come every Monday night, and I'd give them each like 20 minutes. So we were there all night, and we never knew who was going to run into who, because I have like all these people booked, and that's when I learned the politics behind it all. Like you have to plan that kind of stuff. You can't just invite everybody mishmash and expect everything to go gravy, Yeah. So I started to plan out my interviews. I started to do flyers. The more important it looked, the more important it was becoming. And it was almost like a manifestation.
Yeah, the look is everything, right?
Right.
The look is everything.
As it started to look more and more professional, and I have the Kings DJ, and I have GT Digital shows, and I have all these legends coming to pull up on me, Sugar Wolf. I had the first interview from him when he got out of prison from Thiz Nation. He came to see me first. So like more and more started to build, and I just started to capitalize off of that shit. Like you got to make it look like what it is times 25.
1,000%.
For people that don't know that, that's the trick.
And so where do you see yourself going forward with 360 Radio and McYee and the whole movement that you push now? The next 6 months, what's good for you?
6 months. So we've just gotten all of our licensing, ASCAP, BMI, CSAC. So labels, I'm going to go approach a lot of labels. Livewire is one of the examples, and it's going to benefit y'all to work with us because we have all of our publishing. So as we spin, you're going to be seeing that, and your artists are going to be seeing that if they're registered correctly. I also want to get into it's kind of like a school. I want to try to teach what I do to someone else. I have no benefactors. I have no one to really pass this knowledge or information on to. So I was thinking of doing workshops for females in communications and broadcasting. Amazing. So maybe get some girls in to teach them that. And then I want to really do more focus on community. I have not ever been able to do that. And now I feel like I'm in the space where I can. I finally have a big enough platform to be able to go knock on some doors and actually make some changes or attempt to. So that's my 6 month goal. Building the station, building the brand. I never have enough merch. I never have any, really. I never have enough. I want to make my own sunglasses. I want my nails by Cree. She makes me all my nail sets. I want to start selling those independently, like with my designs on them. So I have a lot of ideas going forward.
Well, that's dope. That's dope. Anything you want to leave your supporters with?
Never listen to the doubters, man. Never. I mean, if I had, I would not be here, and there's many, many, many of them. So just realize and remember, in your heart and your brain, you know what's best for yourself. Your innate gut instinct. Follow that, because that's where you're supposed to be in life. Don't listen to anyone else, because that's not their path, it's your path. They're only dealing with themselves. So that's my advice. Never ever listen to a hater.
Damn.
Fuck what a hater gotta say.
Well, there you go. It's Mars Radio and it's McYee, and we're out.
Yay!
Welcome to Mars.